Hey guys, what's going on? Watomarmelon back again, and today I'm going to be bringing you another market watch. Hopefully, you guys do enjoy. I'm going to be posting a top 10 modern cards of the last 5 years on my main channel. It is linked in the description and also in the comments, so check it out, subscribe there, and it'll be posted next week, so about a week from today. And make sure to check that out. Also, check out the eBay and TCG Player affiliate links in the description below. Just clicking those and then making a purchase of anything supports the channel, and I do appreciate it. So we're going to start things off with a classic. If you guys have seen my market watches before, I cover this card more than any other card, and the reason being is I think it's a good litmus test for how the collectible Yu-Gi-Oh market is doing and whether it's rational. For a long time, this card was $150, and I thought that modern cards were just so expensive relative to how Chaos Emperor Dragon was, and so I thought this was crazy undervalued, and I wasn't sure whether modern card prices were going to collapse and this card was going to remain the same or go down slightly, or if this card was going to go up and modern card prices were going to be, more or less the same, maybe grow a little bit. What ended up happening is modern came down a little bit, and this card has gone up a lot. Basically, there are only 4 near mint first edition copies on TCG Player left, and one of them is this European EG grading company I've never heard of. I looked at the card. I don't know if I would buy that. I think it's probably lightly played as opposed to near mint. So it really leaves like 3 copies left. There's one at 240, another lower feedback seller at 250, and then a seller at 440. So there's not a whole lot left. People are buying this card, and it's doing quite well. Now, if you compare that sort of more vintage copy to one from the mid era, you have Duelist Pack Kaiba Ultimate Rare Chaos Emperor Dragon. The first edition printing has that old style Ultimate Rare, but this card has done nothing but go down over the past year. You can see how it's gone down about 40%. At one time during the peak, both the Chaos Emperor Dragon Envoy of the End Secret Rare First Edition out of Invasion of Chaos and this Ultimate Rare First Edition out of Duelist Pack Kaiba were pretty comparable. Like, both were around $300. That one is now closer to 200, 250. This one's now very firmly at around 100 with a bunch of sellers lined up at the $100 mark. And I think this is not a bad buy at $100, but I would personally wait until Quarter Century Bonanza is released and announced what Quarter Century Secret Rares are in there, because I do think Chaos Emperor Dragon is one that should get a Quarter Century Secret Rare. I mean, they're printing like 100, 200 of them. This certainly is deserving and doesn't have many modern printings to compete with a Quarter Century Secret Rare, albeit it does have the Collector Rare, so maybe not. But I would be surprised if they don't print it, and I think that even though this is not, it hasn't, this released more than 10 years ago, I think it was close to 15 years ago, I still think that it's not the original print, so it might take a little bit of the demand away when they have another printing of the card in a somewhat high rarity. Something to think about. Next up, we have Ghosts from the Past 2. I'm not going to go over every individual card and look at its trend, but this is a set with Ghost Rares. I've been a fan of Ghost Rares for a long time. I think they're a good buy. And in a world where Quarter Century Secret Rares have really taken over modern collecting, it's hard to collect anything else. Ghost Rares are doing quite well, especially as they haven't iterated or done any more iterations of Ghosts from the Past. And so you can see that many of them are very low on quantity. Look at Blue Eyes Ultimate, look at Dark Magician Girl, look at Red Eyes Black Dragon, look at Dark Arm Dragon, less than 20 copies. And then others, some of the same ones, are above market price. Lowest listing is $80, market price $62. That one's gone up. You look at Dark Arm Dragon, a couple dollars above market price. Even Ayatamias, which has many more listings, it's above market price. Winged Dragon of Raw Sphere Mode, way above market price. And that, some of these are going to be lightly played copies, and the market price is for near mint. So these cards are doing really well relative to their market price. Not surprising, because Ghost Rares haven't been printed in a while, and people love the rarity. As much as they complained when they were released, I think that Ghost Rares are still very coveted among modern collectors. Next up, we have quarter century secret rares, and that's what this market watch is really going to be dedicated to. We have the tins. Um, Basically, a lot of people have complained about the tins and the choices for quarter century secret rare. My personal opinion is that I always think of the tins as a player's product. These are meant to be important reprints for people who actually play the card game. And while I'm a collector and some of these reprints are very cool, Light and Darkness Dragon, awesome, awesome printing, and something that I think very much deserve the quarter century secret. Despite that, the reality is that I think this product should have been better for people who play the card game and have better reprints of cards. And so it's a little bit sad to see, a lot of these cards completely irrelevant for modern play and occupying one of the high rarity slots. And then you look at prismatic secret rares, and there's so many of them that it's nearly impossible to pull the specific one you want. So I understand why people are frustrated about the tins. I don't, I tend to be someone who isn't as pessimistic as the average mob member online, angry mob member online. But, I can see where people are coming from. It's probably not super exciting for someone who, plays the card game and couldn't care less about, Honest, for example, or Red Dragon Archfiend to pull that out of their tin. I can see why that could be a little bit disappointing, or a vanilla Exodia piece for that matter. So, as a collector, I think there's a lot of really interesting stuff that I want in my collection, and it's pretty cheap. Something to note is that when you look at the promos from the previous year's tin, they were completely loaded, and I'll look over one of them. And they did nothing besides basically go down, with the exception of things like the Exodia head, because people, I think, wanted the Exodia pieces in Quarter Century Secret and didn't really see where they'd put them. Finally, we've gotten them, and so people want the head as well. So that's not super surprising. But things like Blue Eyes, Dark Magician Girl, people are going to buy this stuff. And I always say, stuff like this that's so desirable. Now, it's just release weekend, and so I wouldn't, buy things necessarily today. But people, I think, always will come back and buy these things. It's the same thing with the Ghost Rares out of Ghost from the past two, where supply is relevant, but there's so much demand, and there will be so much consistent demand over time, that these cards will end up in collectors' hands. People will get into the hobby, they'll want a Blue Eyes, and they'll see that there's this awesome looking Blue Eyes for $20, and so they'll pick it up. And it will remain in people's collections. This isn't meant to be an investment per se, it's just something that people really like. And so there's a consistent demand that doesn't depend on the market price too heavily. And I think people are going to eat this stuff up over time. And so I think long term it's going to, appreciate, but there's so much supply that it's impossible to predict what time scale that's going to be. Anyways, Dark Magician Girl, I think this is a buy if it remains at this price. I think it should go down because it's only release weekend, and things basically always go down after release weekend. But under $20 for a Quarter Century Secret Rare or Dark Magician Girl original art, I think that's a buy. Same thing with the Blue Eyes. I think that's, even at $20, not too bad. Now, I expect it to go down, and so I'm going to try to buy the dip, obviously, but I don't think these are horrible. The Limbs of Exodia. There aren't a whole lot of great Exodia sets out there. People have bought out the head from the previous year's tins. I think that the vanilla pieces at $4 a pop, I don't think that's too bad, to be honest. And so I don't hate them there. Red Dragon Archfiend. It seems to be the case that they're printing every single Signer Dragon in Quarter Century Secret Rare. That would be an insane collection and not too hard to get your hands on, basically. And so I think that this at $3, not too crazy, even though I don't think it's super meta relevant. $3 for a beautiful copy of a set of some of the most iconic monsters, not too terrible. Some of these I'm not super thrilled about. Like, I don't care about Dino Wrestler, Pankratops, Bahamut Shark, Parallel Exceed. None of these matter to me. Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon, cool, but I also don't care. Cosmic Blazar Dragon, cool, but I don't really care. Torrential Tribute's interesting. And then there's some other ones. Blackwing Dragon, that's, the dead giveaway that they're going to print the remaining ones. So we'll see. But Utopic Drake of Future also not too interesting. Bell is 100% a pickup, below $5 for me. Light and Darkness Dragon, honest, 100% pickups for me. So I think I'm interested in the vast majority of the quarter century secrets. And when I look at the price, like, even though I understand there's a huge supply, to a certain extent, I don't really care. If I'm spending $2 and I can get an awesome looking honest card, it's $2. I'll live with it. I'm not trying to resell it. I just like it in my collection, and it's not really a huge expense. So I'll be picking up a lot of it. I think a lot of it should come down just because people are going to be opening up these tins and more supply is going to come out there in the coming weeks. But I don't hate these prices one bit. I think there are more as well. Quarter century secret rares in the tin. I forgot about that. There's so many of them. Oh yeah, there's so many. I completely forgot about this. Scapegoat, absolutely pick up. Wing Karibo's $1. I didn't know that. I'll buy a bunch of those. Those are at $1. Winking Wing Karibo, put me in. I love that. I love that a whole lot. Under $1 on XZ's Dragon Cannon or XYZ Dragon Cannon. Alternate art, absolutely a pickup. A lot of these other ones I don't care too much about. I will pick up the Seal of Orichalcos. Ruby Carbuncle, I will pick one up because I hope they print the remaining Crystal Beasts in Quarter Century Secret Rare in Bonanza. I think that would be awesome. It's under $1, so who cares if they don't? And it's just overall pretty cool. There's a lot of other stuff I don't care about here. Gimmick puppets, don't really care about that. Utopia Double, don't care. The gadgets I will pick up, again, under $1. It is what it is. It's a shiny piece of cardboard for under $1. If it goes down to 30 cents, I couldn't care less if I spent 70 cents on it. And then Yellow Gadget, and then this Rank Up Magic. Already had an Ultimate Rare that was like a guaranteed tin promo, so not sure why that's a quarter century secret, but it's 25 cents, so it is what it is. So there's a whole lot of stuff that I like. Now looking at Rarity Collection 2, one of the other recent quarter century secret rare loaded sets. What immediately, caught the eye of many was the alternate art IP Masquerena and alternate art Apollosa that used to be atop the set. IP Masquerena hasn't been banned, and people are calling for it to be banned. Now, I don't play the game, so that makes me a little uncomfortable about buying it because there's a chance it gets banned and then decreases significantly. I think this is a unique printing of the card. And I think people are going to want to pick it up in quarter century secret rare long term, I would assume. And so I don't hate it at 30 something dollars, $35. Don't hate that. Apollosa, I explicitly said I would pick it up once it's under 15. I just haven't gotten around to buying, but I will. I will buy it the next time I make a purchase off TCG Player. And then there's other very cool stuff littered throughout. I mean, polymerization for $10 doesn't seem too bad. To be honest, Blue Eye Spirit Dragon has been bought out to $30. It's a Blue Eyes card, quarter century secret rare. People love it. Not super surprising. We can go to some of the later pages as well. There's, interesting stuff littered throughout, but I generally try to stay away from players' cards. One, because players should buy players' cards, and two, I don't want to compete for these higher prices with players. There's a bunch of other interesting stuff. Mystical Space Typhoon's pretty cool. Mind Control, Bingo Machine Go is a Blue Eyes card. There's a lot of good stuff in the Rarity collection that I think is still worth picking up. And as quarter century secret rares are printed into the ground, I think some of this stuff might get a little bit forgotten if it's not playable. So might be worth picking up in the not too distant future, especially when quarter century Bonanza comes out. Although I will say, if they're cards that belong to a set and they complete the set in Bonanza, the price will spike up in the other version. A cautionary tale from the tins is Stardust Dragon, which has done essentially nothing but go down. We are looking at lightly played, so let me go to near mint. And what we see is that this card price has just gone down and down and down. And you can see from the bar graph that it's overlaid on, the interest in it and the purchase, the number of them that are being bought, it's staying pretty constant. There's just so much supply that even though people love this card and it's a beautiful card, I have it, it's just continuously going down and down. And so when I said, I'd buy that Blue Eyes at 20 something dollars, no problem, I still have to think, realistically, there have been other very iconic cards, maybe not as much so as Blue Eyes, but they have done nothing but go down. Dark Dragon. No one cares about this card besides me, but I think it's one of the most beautiful cards of all time. It's 17 and a half bucks. If you want one of the most beautiful quarter century secret rares, pick up Dark Dragon. You'll buy it, you'll look at it and be like, wow, he was right. So, and then leave a comment letting me know that I was right. But this is just such an insane card. One of the most beautiful arts. The quarter century secret rare looks phenomenal on it. And because it's out of a core set, it's actually not super common. It's not like these, the Rarity collections or the tins where, even though there are a bunch of them, you get one per pack or one every couple of packs. So they're pretty common. This one's hard to pull and a beautiful card nonetheless, albeit probably not a playable card in any capacity. Oh, that is not what I wanted to click. That is also not what I wanted to click. Next up, we have the Unstoppable Exodia Incarnate. Exodia card, there aren't many sales, to be honest, and so I don't know how many people are interested in this. It's hard to pull, but there's not a ton of demand at this price, so I would expect it to go down, but this is one that, if this is a $20 card, I would say it's a buy for sure. And if it goes below 30, you really got to keep your eye on it because it's a cool looking card. It's an Exodia card. It's the sort of card you can put, this is a funny way to put it, but basically Exodia displayed in a 3x3 binder doesn't look that great because you have, your head, your two arms in the top row, and then the row below that you have the two legs, and then you need to put something in the center basically. And I think that cards like this that are, shiny Exodia cards go very well in the center. And this is one to eye if it gets a bit cheaper. Dragon of Pride and Soul. This is the successor basically to Magicians of Bonds and Unity. Went down a lot, went up a lot. It's kind of stabilized a bit at 50 something dollars. Given what Magicians of Bonds and Unity has hovered at, I don't think this is crazy. I'm not buying it unless it goes below 40, so we'll see where it is. I don't hate it, but I don't love it, so not sure what to think about that one. A new Millennium Shield, you can see it's starting to spike up a little bit at the end. I mean, when I say spike, I mean slowly rise, 50 cents. And there's still copies at $25, $26. So it's more of an interesting one. I'm not buying this at 25, maybe at 10, but it's something that I think people love. Millennium Shield. I love Millennium Shield. It's just I have no reason to buy this for $25, especially when you look at the tins and you see, oh, I can get an SDK or Blue Eyes for $20. Am I going to spend $20 on that or 25 on a Millennium Shield retrain? Speaking of which, Millennium Shield and Quarter Century Secret Rare from Bonanza would be sick, but we'll see what happens there. Dark Magician, the Magician of Black Magic, the Dark Magician of Dark Magicians is a little under 40. Interesting card. This is lightly played. So let me filter by near mint. I think one of the previous ones was also lightly played. You can see there are a number of sales and that demand, it's following roughly an exponential fall, but it's stabilizing a bit at the end there. We'll see where this thing ends up. It's a cool looking card, but I personally don't think it's the best in the game. Another Exodia one to look at, let me put this at near mint so that I can get a more accurate picture. This one has gone down a bit, but you can see that sales are stabilizing a bit and people are still buying it. It's a bit cheaper than the other one, so I like this one a lot more at $20, $25 than I do the other one at 50 or whatever that was at. Let me check. 45, yeah, around 50. So I don't hate this one. I actually like it quite a bit, and I think this one's getting close to a buy from me. Dark Magician, the Knight of Dragon Magic, interestingly, has started to go up a bit. I was not expecting that. The thing I like about this, and spoiler, this is in my top 10 modern cards from the past 5 years. This look is very reminiscent of Dragon Master Magia, yet it is so much cheaper. Now, I think Dragon Master Magia is cooler. I'll admit that. But for the money, you can spend $800 on Dragon Master Magia or whatever it is right now, or you can spend $25 on this. To me, the like value proposition is just crazy. Like for sure I'd go after this one. And it's not as if this is like a tin card where it's super available. This is a Battles of Legend card, just like Dragon Master Magia. So it's the same like supply for a pretty similar in coolness, albeit that subjective card. So I like it a lot. Next up, we have Volcanic Shell, a card that has fallen off dramatically. It went down to like $14, $13 I saw, and you can see that people are starting to buy it after realizing it. It's $15, and so it's still not too bad. I have one of these. I paid a lot more than $15 for it, and so maybe I'll complete a playset, although I have realized in cleaning out and you know, consolidating some of my collection, I need to stop buying like 5 copies of the same card because it's getting a little ridiculous here. Another cool card, you have Horus the Black Flame Deity. I love Horus cards. This is $17 and it's from Phantom Nightmare. Cool set. I like it. If you like Horus, I think this is a decent buy. There are a ton of them out there, but still a really cool looking card. Junk Warrior alternate art. This has actually gone up a bit. There's still quite a bit of supply. You can see that there's been an exponential fall, but the supply or the demand is still, somewhat constant right now. And so besides the Japan imports seller who's unverified, you can see that's around $16 or so, which isn't too bad. And it's a cool looking card for sure. Next up, we have Heart Earth Dragon. This is actually the last card I'm going to look at. You can see that this has a market price of like $13. It was at under 12 before, but it's starting to make a bit of a rebound. And you can see that it's a bit above 15 right now. This is a card that I absolutely love. But given that the sales rate isn't too crazy on this thing, and there are a bunch of sellers with like 5 to 6 copies of it at $15.50, I'm just going to wait it out. If I get a deal off TCG Player, I'll pick it up. But this is a cool looking card, and we'll see what they do with it. So hopefully you guys enjoy this longer one. I've been very busy, so I wanted to make one longer market watch that you guys can see. Hopefully you did enjoy. It's been your boy Watomarmelon, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.